On for Sam's Sports Report. Let's do college basketball first. Tonight, Kansas State will play number 9 seeded Florida Atlantic. This has to be surprising to the number 9 seed that Florida Atlantic made it this far, but that happened when Purdue lost. That ended all that helps, but has beaten 2 higher seeds, Florida Atlantic. They will play. Jonah Davis is impressive with averages 15 for Florida Atlantic. Kansas State players to watch out for. Keon Johnson, he's their best scorer and goes right to the bracket one-on-one. Marquise Noel had his best game of his career at 19 assists and double-double. Quite frankly, had one of the best games I've ever seen in passing. The Cats he broke an NcAA record. The Cats pick up Pitt to win 75-70. Tip is a 509. The Cats are favored by 2. The Cats look for the first Final Four since 1964. Meanwhile, Florida Atlantic has never won a tournament game before this year. For the next game, it'll be UConn and Gonzaga tonight. The best quality of play game possible this season. UConn's Adam Sanago leads them with 17 points. Drew Timme is one of the best players in college basketball. He averages 21.5. Game time is 7:49. UConn went to the Final Four in 2014. The Zags have been just recently. UConn has won 4 national championships. The Zags never won. Give me the Zags 82-80. UConn is favored by 2.5. Tip is at 7:49. Tomorrow's game, San Diego State shot the world last night when they beat Alabama 71-64. They felt really energetic and controlled the game. The Tide were never really able to get it to where they wanted it to be. Was able to take Brandon Miller out of the game, who just had 9 points. Drew Timme led San Diego State with 23 points. For the Houston Cougars, Marcus Sears led him with 16 points. San Diego was able to take control. Brandon Miller wasn't good for Alabama as he had just 9 points. Another one falls in Kansas City. Houston loses to Miami. Quite frankly, manhandled them. Miami did 89-75. Kelvin Sampson has never won a national championship, and that continues for Houston. Nigel Pack scores 26, who averaged about 14. Miami moves on to play. Creighton beats Princeton. Finally got overmatched. Princeton did. Ryan Baylor got 25 for Ryan Sherman scored 22. Ryan Lamberg had 26. Ryan Killenburn had 22. Trevor E. Balvum had 24. The problem was nobody else was able to get it done. Also, Baylor Sherman had 21 for Creighton. 86-75. Creighton will play San Diego State tomorrow. The other game was Xavier lost to Texas 83-71. That game was never really that close. Killen scored 21. Tyler Hunts had 19 for the Longhorns. Miami has never been to a Final Four or tomorrow. Elite 8 last year for the first time. Now we move on to the NL East. To 85-78 to finish the season last year. Robin Thompson got them to the World Series, but would lose to the Astros. I got to pick them. They go to 87. So 87 and 76. And the WAR. And Corey Kluber was pretty good. He had a runs above replacement at 6. The New York Mets were 161-61. All-time greats Justin Verlander and David Roberts were very good. Last year, he had a 2.04 ERA. Carlos Carrasco had a solid season with an ERA of 3.597, 15-7. Pete Alonso had one of his best years at 40 home runs and 131 RBIs. Jeff McLean had a 3.06 ERA, 95-67. The Atlanta Braves. The Braves are once again really good at. The Matt Olson had 34 homers. Dan Swaspin had 25. Michael Harris, 21 years old, hit 297. He looks like a solid ball player. Also, Kyle Wright was the best pitcher at 21-5 at 3.99. Max Fried at 22.48, 14-7. Spencer Stride at 2.16, 20-11. Jason Salvez was solid in the bullpen, and Bryce Elder was solid last year. The Braves were 95-67. The Braves were 105, 101, and 61. I picked them to go 95-67. The Washington Nationals were next to terrible last year at 105. To 100. The Marlins weren't much better at 69-93. I'll pick them to go a little bit better at 74-88. This is Sam Vaughan for Sammp4.
Yeah, that was a tough pick because I've watched a lot of Purdue, and Purdue's they've got the big man they've got. I mean, I don't know how he'll be at the next level, but the dude, I mean, he's a problem.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just got a feeling Memphis' speed is going to be a factor.
I had Duke and Purdue, and I had a really hard time with that game because Duke was on fire, and
Duke is on fire. I mean, as much as I hate it, Duke is on fire. I don't really hate it, but I got Duke losing to Tennessee.
Yeah, I don't really think Tennessee's that good. I got Duke winning. Missouri beat them twice. I thought the 4 seed was over the top. They didn't really do so well in SEC play as they had the 5th seed. I don't know. I just thought Tennessee was too high, but Kansas State was another team I thought was too high. I have them beating Marquette, although I just thought the matchups were too good for Kansas State, and I have them going to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I actually got Kansas State losing to Kentucky.
I could see that. I also thought Kentucky was overseeded, but
yeah, some of that is just from being in the SEC. I think that's the conference name.
But yeah, well, I also think some of it's to do with because trust me, if Missouri's that good and they beat Kentucky, it doesn't matter. Kentucky's brand name is taking them farther than Missouri's brand name.
Agreed.
Houston's somewhat of a local team. I've got Houston going to the Final Four. What do you have them going to?
I got them going to the Final Four, losing to Kansas.
Do you have Iowa beating Auburn, or do you have Iowa?
I've got Iowa losing to Auburn.
Okay, yeah, they're an interesting team. They can hit the threes. They got a very good coach.
Yeah, the 8-9 matchups are. I mean, 8-9 and 7-10. Those are like usually the toughest matchups for me to pick.
And 5-4. I mean,
yeah, when you get to when the 5 and 4s run up on each other, yeah, those are tough to pick too.
I have Indiana beating Miami, but I'm not so sure.
I got let's see. I got Miami. I got Miami beating Indiana. It's been solid all year. Although I will say Indiana could definitely, like you said, the 4-5s are tough.